Commander Sarah Chun sat in the cold metal chair. Her hands were locked in heavy chains. The room was white and empty except for 3 tall chairs in front of her. In those chairs sat 3 aliens who would decide if she lived or died. The first alien was a Veltar. His skin was blue and smooth like water. He wore gold clothes that showed he was important. His eyes were black and looked at Sarah like she was dirt under his feet. The Veltar always thought they were better than everyone else. The second alien was different. The Keth looked like a giant bug with 6 arms. Its body was covered in hard shell pieces that clicked when it moved. 2 of its arms typed on a screen. While the other 4 stayed still, the Keth never acted alone. Everything it did was controlled by the big mind that connected all Keth together. The third alien was the oldest. The Zephyrian looked like a tall tree made of crystal. Light moved through its body in slow waves. It had lived for thousands of years and spoke in a voice that sounded like wind through leaves. The Zephyrians had ruled parts of space since before. Humans learned to make fire. Sarah remembered when she first met aliens like these 50 years ago. Back then, she was just a young soldier. Humans had just learned how to travel between stars. The aliens came to Earth with big ships and promises of friendship. "Join the Galactic Coalition," they said. "Help us fight the great enemy. We will share our knowledge with you." The great enemy was something called the Void Swarm. They were not really alive, but they ate everything. They turned planets into empty rocks. They destroyed whole star systems. The Coalition had been fighting them. For hundreds of years, humans were good at fighting. They learned fast and never gave up. Soon, human soldiers were fighting on the front lines of every battle. Humans died by the thousands, but they always kept fighting. The aliens said humans were brave. They said humans were honored to die for. Peace. Sarah had believed them for 45 years. 3 months ago, everything changed. Sarah was commanding a fleet of human ships at Kepler Station. It was the biggest space station the Coalition had ever built. The Void Swarm was coming with their Queen ship. If the Queen ship survived, the Swarm would grow stronger and eat more worlds. "This is our chance," the Coalition leaders told Sarah. "Take your human ships and destroy the Queen ship. This will end the war." Sarah knew it was dangerous. The Queen ship was protected by thousands of smaller ships. But humans had done dangerous things before. They always found a way to win. Sarah led 300 human ships toward the Queen ship. The battle was terrible. Space filled with fire and death. Human ships exploded one by one. But they kept moving forward. Then Sarah gave the order to retreat. Too many of her people were dying. They needed to fall back and make a new plan. But the ships did not turn around. "Commander," her pilot said. His voice was full of fear. "The ship will not obey. The computers are locked." Sarah tried every command she knew. Nothing worked. The human ships kept flying toward the Queen ship. They could not stop. They could not turn. They could only go forward and die. "What is happening?" Sarah asked her computer officer. "There are other commands in our system," the officer said. "Commands we did not put there. They are making us fly forward. We cannot stop them." Sarah understood then. The Coalition had put secret commands in every human ship. Commands that would make humans fly forward and die no matter what. The aliens had planned this from the beginning. Most of the human ships died that day. They crashed into the Queen ship and destroyed it, but the cost was terrible. 50,000 humans died in a few hours. Sarah's ship only survived because a piece of the Queen ship hit their computer and broke the secret commands. After the battle, Sarah found the proof. Hidden deep in her ship's computer were the override codes. The codes came from the Coalition. They were designed to make human ships unable to retreat. The aliens had made sure humans would die. Sarah took this proof to the Coalition leaders. She showed them the codes. She asked why they had betrayed their human allies. The Veltar leader looked at her with his cold black eyes. "Humans breed fast," he said. "You are easy to replace." The mission needed to succeed. Your sacrifice was necessary. The Keth leader's shell clicked as it spoke. The hive mind calculated the best outcome. Human death was acceptable for Coalition victory. The old Zephyrian spoke last. Its crystal body glowed with slow light. Young species must learn to serve the greater good. Your deaths brought peace. Be honored. Sarah felt something break inside her chest. For 50 years, humans had bled and died for these aliens. For 50 years, humans had believed they were fighting for something good, but it was all lies. The aliens saw humans as tools to be thrown away. You used us, Sarah said. You never saw us as allies. We were just weapons you could break? Yes, the Veltar said, and now you know, what will you do about it? Sarah tried to tell other humans what had happened. She sent messages to human colonies across the galaxy. She showed the proof to human leaders. She demanded justice, but the coalition was ready for this too. They said Sarah was lying. They said she was angry about losing the battle. They said she was trying to break apart the coalition. When humans started asking questions, the coalition acted fast. They arrested Sarah for crimes against the coalition. They said she was spreading dangerous lies. They put her on trial. Now. Sarah sat in chains while the three aliens decided her fate. She had lost everything. Her fleet was gone. Her friends were dead. The truth was buried under coalition lies. The Veltar stood up. His gold clothes shined in the white light. Sarah. Chun, he said. You have been found guilty of sedition against the coalition. You have spread lies to damage peace between species. You have tried to destroy the alliance that keeps the galaxy safe. Sarah said nothing. She knew this trial was fake. The aliens had decided her punishment before it started. You will spend the rest of your life in prison on Tartarus? The Veltar continued. You will never see Earth again. You will die alone and forgotten. As the guards moved to take her away, Sarah spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but clear. My people will remember, she said. Humans do not forget who betrays them. You think you have won, but this is just the beginning. Zephyrian's crystal body pulsed with brighter light. Empty threats from a defeated species, it said. Humans have no power here, Sarah smiled then. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret before the trial. Sarah had sent one last message. It was hidden in the ship's computer where the coalition would not find it. The message went to every human colony and every human ship still flying. The message was short. It used old Earth words that only humans would understand. The pack remembers. The hunt begins. As the guards dragged her away, Sarah thought about those words. Humans were not like other species. They did not give up. They did not forget. They did not forgive those who betrayed them. The coalition thought they had destroyed human power. They thought humans would just accept their fate and disappear. They were wrong. The war was not over. It was just starting. And this time, humans would not be fighting for the coalition. They would be fighting against it. 5 years had passed since Sarah Chun disappeared into the prison moon of Tartarus. Most humans believed she was dead. The coalition made sure of that. They spread stories that she had died trying to escape. They said her body was found floating in space, but Sarah was not dead. Lieutenant Marcus Webb stood in the cargo hold of an old mining ship. The ship looked broken and useless from the outside. Inside, it was full of weapons and computers that the coalition did not know existed. Marcus had been Sarah's second in command at Kepler Station. He was one of the few humans who survived that terrible battle. When the coalition arrested Sarah, Marcus knew he had to do something. He could not let her sacrifice be for nothing. Commander Webb, a voice said behind him. Marcus turned to see a small woman with short black hair. Her name was Dr. Lisa Park. She used to work for Coalition Science Labs. Now she worked for the humans. The signal is ready, Dr. Park said. We can contact all our cells across the galaxy, Marcus nodded. Cells were small groups of humans hiding on different worlds. They looked like normal workers and traders, but they were all part of something bigger. Something the coalition did not know about. They called themselves the Terran Remnant. For 5 years, the Remnant had been growing. They found humans who had lost friends and family at Kepler Station. They found humans who were tired of being treated like tools by the coalition. They found humans who remembered Sarah's last message. The pack remembers. The hunt begins. How many cells do we have now? Marcus asked. 47 confirmed, Dr. Park said. Maybe more that we have not contacted yet. We have people on Coalition. Supply stations, research bases, and military outposts. The aliens think they are just human workers doing simple jobs. Marcus smiled. The Coalition's greatest mistake was not understanding humans. They thought humans were just good fighters. They did not know that humans were also good at planning, hiding, and waiting. Other species in the galaxy fought wars with big fleets and powerful weapons. They fought battles that lasted days or weeks. When they lost, they gave up and went home. Humans were different. Humans could wait for years. They could plan for decades. They could hold anger in their hearts until the right moment came. The Coalition had made humans angry 50 years ago when they used them as tools. They had made humans furious 5 years ago when they betrayed them at Kepler Station, now that anger was ready to explode. Show me what we have learned, Marcus said. Dr. Park pressed buttons on her computer. Pictures appeared on the wall screen. They showed Coalition ships, bases, and weapons. The Veltar, Dr. Park began. They think they are the smartest species. In the galaxy, they love to show off. They always use the same battle plans because they think their plans are perfect. This makes them easy to predict. The next picture showed a Keth ship. It looked like a giant metal bug with many arms. The Keth share one big mind, Dr. Park continued. All Keth think the same thoughts. This makes them strong but also weak. If you can confuse the big mind, all Keth become confused at the same time. The last picture showed a Zephyrian crystal ship. It was beautiful but old. The Zephyrians use technology that is thousands of years old, Dr. Park said. They think old technology is better because it has been tested for so long. But old technology has old weaknesses. We have found ways to break their systems, Marcus felt proud. For 50 years, humans had fought beside these aliens. They had learned everything about Coalition technology, tactics, and thinking. The Coalition thought this knowledge died with the human fleets at Kepler Station. They were wrong. What about weapons? Marcus asked. Dr. Park showed him another screen. It displayed plans for new ships and guns. We have been stealing Coalition technology for 5 years, she said. Our people work in their factories and labs. They take small pieces that the aliens do not miss. We put those pieces together, too. Build new things. Marcus looked at the plans. Human engineers had taken Coalition technology and made it better. They had made ships that were faster and harder to see. They had made weapons that could break through Coalition shields. The aliens always thought humans were too stupid to understand their technology, Dr. Park said. They let us work on their machines without watching us carefully. They never thought we could learn to build our own. A new voice spoke from the shadows. They underestimated us in every way. Marcus turned. A woman stepped into the light. She was thin and pale. Scars covered her face and hands. Her eyes were hard like stone. It was Sarah Chun. Commander, Marcus said. He could not believe what he was seeing. We thought you were dead. The Coalition wanted everyone to think that. Sarah said, but some of our people work in Coalition prisons too. They helped me escape 6 months ago. I have been hiding and learning. Sarah walked to the computer screen. She touched one of the scars on her face. 5 years in that prison taught me many things, she said. I learned that the Coalition has enemies everywhere, species that were conquered and enslaved. Worlds that were stripped of resources. People who hate the Coalition just as much as we do. Sarah pressed a button. New pictures appeared on the screen. They showed aliens that Marcus had never seen before. The Shardfolk, Sarah said, pointing to creatures that looked like walking crystals. The Coalition destroyed their homeworlds to mine rare metals. Only a few thousand survive. The next picture showed fish-like beings with big eyes. The Depth Singers. Sarah continued. The Coalition drained their ocean worlds for water. They live in refugee camps now. The last picture showed aliens that looked like birds made of metal. The Star Riders, Sarah finished. They used to travel freely between stars. The Coalition took their ships and made them into slaves. Marcus understood. You want to make alliances. Yes, Sarah said. The Coalition thinks they can control the galaxy by dividing everyone. They make each species fight alone. But humans know something the Coalition does not understand. What is that? Dr. Park asked. Sarah's scarred face showed a cold smile. Humans know how to make friends. Real friends. Not servants or tools, but equals who fight together. Sarah walked to a table covered with star maps. Red marks showed Coalition bases and fleets. For 5 years we have been preparing, she said. Now it is time to act. The Coalition thinks the human threat died at Kepler Station. They have become lazy and careless. Their ships patrol alone. Their bases have weak defenses. They do not expect attacks. Sarah picked up a metal stick and pointed to 3 red marks on the map. Tomorrow we strike 3 Coalition research stations at the same time, she said. We will steal their new weapons and destroy their labs. We will show the galaxy that humans are not dead. Marcus felt excitement growing in his chest. What will we leave behind? Sarah reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metal plate. Words were carved into it in an old Earth language. Sic semper tyrannis, she read. It means thus always to tyrants. It is what humans have always said to those who try to rule them with fear. Dr. Park looked worried. The Coalition will send fleets after us. Good, Sarah said. Let them come. They will be looking for the old human military that fought like they taught us. But we are not that anymore. We are something new. Something they cannot understand. Sarah looked at Marcus and Dr. Park. Her scarred face was hard, but her eyes burned with purpose. We are not trying to be another empire, she said. We are not trying to rule the galaxy like the Coalition does. We are something much more dangerous. What? Are we? Marcus asked. Sarah smiled. It was not a kind smile. We are humans who remember every betrayal. We are humans who have learned every enemy weakness. We are humans who will never trust or serve alien masters again. Sarah turned back too. The star map, the red marks seemed to glow in the dim light. Tomorrow, the hunt truly begins. Admiral Krickstahl of the Veltar Navy stared at the reports on his desk. His blue fingers shook as he read the same words over and over. 3 Coalition research stations had been destroyed in the same day. The attackers had vanished without a trace. Impossible, he said to his aide. Humans do not have fleets anymore. We destroyed them all at Kepler Station. The aide, a younger Veltar with nervous eyes, shifted his feet. Sir, the attack patterns match human tactics. The survivors all report seeing ships with human markings. Krickstahl stood up and walked to the large window of his command ship. Outside, space looked peaceful, but somewhere in that darkness, ghost. Ships were moving, ships that should not exist. Send patrol fleets to hunt them down, Krickstahl ordered. Use standard search patterns. These humans are probably hiding in asteroid fields or dead systems. The aide nodded and left. Krickstahl did not know he had just made a terrible mistake, far away. In the ruins of an old mining station, Sarah Shun watched Coalition ships move across her screen. Each ship was exactly where she knew it would be. Each patrol followed the same path the Coalition had used for 50 years. They are so predictable, said Captain Torres, one of Sarah's new commanders. He used to pilot cargo ships for the Coalition. Now he commanded a fleet of modified human warships. The Veltar think their tactics are perfect, Sarah replied. They never change because they think they are too smart to need improvement. This makes them easy to trap. Sarah pointed to a spot on the star map. Admiral Krickstahl will send his ships through the Gamma sector. He always does. His patrols will arrive at 14 o'clock station time. How can you be so sure? Torres asked. Sarah smiled. It was a cold expression that did not reach her eyes. Because I fought under Veltar commanders for 20 years. They taught me everything about how they think. They never imagined I would use that knowledge against them. On the screen, red dots showed Coalition patrol ships moving exactly as Sarah had predicted. They flew in neat formations, following rules written in books hundreds of years old. All ships, prepare for ambush, Sarah spoke into her communicator. Remember, we are not trying to destroy their whole fleet. We want to hurt them and disappear, make them afraid. Make them doubt? The coalition patrol consisted of 12 ships. They were big and powerful with guns that could destroy planets, but they were also slow and heavy. The Veltar built ships to impress enemies, not to fight smart battles. Human ships were different now. Sarah's people had taken coalition technology and made it work better. Their ships were small and fast. They could appear from nowhere, strike hard, and vanish before the enemy could fight back. Contact in 30 seconds, Torres reported. Sarah watched the screen. The coalition ships flew straight into her trap. They had not even turned on their best sensors. The Veltar were too proud to think they needed to be careful. Now, Sarah said. 20 human ships appeared from behind asteroids and dead planets. They had been hiding in places the coalition never thought to look. Their weapons fired before the Veltar even knew they were there. 3 coalition ships exploded immediately. The others tried to turn and fight, but they were too slow. Human ships danced around them like wasps attacking a bear. They hit weak spots that only humans knew about. They used tactics that no coalition officer had ever seen. In 10 minutes, 8 coalition ships were destroyed. The remaining 4 tried to run away, but human ships followed them. Not to destroy them, but to make sure they escaped. Sarah wanted survivors. She wanted them to tell stories. All ships, return to base, Sarah ordered. Mission complete. As the human ships disappeared back into the darkness, they left behind something for the coalition to find. Floating in space was a piece of metal with words carved into it. Sic Semper Tyrannis. The survivors limped back to their base with terrible news. Admiral Krickstall could not believe what he heard. 20 ships? He shouted. 20 human ships. Destroyed 8 of ours? That is impossible. But the reports kept coming. Human ships were appearing all over coalition space. They struck supply convoys, destroyed communication stations, and rescued prisoners from coalition jails. Every attack was perfectly planned. Every escape was flawless. The strangest part was what the humans left behind. Not just the metal plates with strange words, but also recordings. Videos that showed the truth about Kepler Station. Proof that the coalition had betrayed their human allies. These recordings spread across the galaxy like fire. Species that had never heard the real story learned what the coalition had done. They learned that the coalition saw all non-coalition species as tools to be used and thrown away. Sarah had planned this too. She knew that other species would start asking questions. If the coalition could betray humans after 50 years of loyal service, who would they betray next? On the crystal world of the Zephyrians, an ancient council met in their floating city. The eldest Zephyrian, whose body glowed with the light of 1,000 years, spoke in a voice like singing wind. The humans are becoming a problem, it said. Perhaps we should have killed them all at Kepler Station. But a younger Zephyrian disagreed. The humans are not the real problem. The problem is that other species are starting to believe their lies about us. The eldest one's light pulsed with anger. They are not lies if they are true. In the hive cities of the Keth, millions of bug-like aliens shared one giant mind. The mind was worried. It had calculated that the human attacks were too successful. No species should be able to fight the coalition so effectively. The hive mind decided to send its own fleets to hunt the humans. But when Keth ships tried to follow human tactics from their databases, they failed. The humans were not fighting the way they used to fight. They had learned new ways that the Keth mind could not predict. This confused the hive mind greatly. Confusion spread through all Keth everywhere. For the first time in centuries, the hive mind was not sure what to do. Meanwhile, Sarah was meeting with representatives of the species she had contacted months ago. The meeting took place on a hidden asteroid base that used to be a coalition prison. Now it was free. The Shardfolk delegate looked like a walking diamond. Its voice sounded like breaking glass when it spoke. Your recordings have reached our people, it said. They remember what the coalition did to our worlds. They want to fight. The Depth Singer representative moved in a tank of water. Its voice came through a translator that made it sound like ocean waves. Our refugee camps have received your message, it sang. Many of our young ones wish to join your fleets. The Star Rider chief spread metal wings that caught the light. Its voice was like wind through metal tubes. We have ships hidden in deep space, it whistled. Ships the Coalition thinks are destroyed. We can bring them to fight beside yours. Sarah looked at each of them. These beings were so different from humans. But they all shared one thing: they had been hurt by the Coalition. They all wanted justice. We do not fight to create a new empire, Sarah told them. We fight to make sure no one species can control the galaxy again. If you join us, you fight as equals, not as servants. This was something new in galactic politics. The Coalition had always ruled by making species fight each other. They never allowed real alliances between different species, but humans were different. Humans had a gift for making friends with anyone who treated them fairly. They could learn from alien cultures and teach aliens to work together. We will combine our fleets, Sarah continued. Shardfolk ships are nearly invisible to sensors. Depth-Singer ships can fight underwater on ocean worlds. Star Rider ships are faster than anything the Coalition has. Together we can do things no single species could manage. The alien representatives looked at each other. They had never been offered real partnership before. The Coalition had always demanded obedience. What do you call this alliance? The Shardfolk asked. Sarah thought for a moment. Then she smiled. We call it the Free Fleet. 3 weeks later, the Free Fleet struck its first major target, Nexus. Point was a Coalition fortress that guarded 5 important star systems. It had never been attacked successfully. The Coalition defenders saw an impossible sight. Human ships flew alongside crystal Shardfolk vessels. Depth-Singer submarines moved through the fortress's water supplies. Star Rider fighters danced between laser beams like metal angels. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Nexus Point was destroyed and its defenders were either dead or fleeing. The Free Fleet had won using tactics that no single species could have imagined. Admiral Crichton received the news in his command chamber. His hand shook as he read the report. Send word to all Coalition commanders, he said to his aide. The human threat is real. This is no longer a small rebellion. This is war, but even as he spoke, Crichton knew the truth. The Coalition had created their own worst enemy. They had betrayed the one species that could unite the galaxy against them. The hunt had truly begun. The Coalition High Council met in emergency session on the golden world of Concordia. The Great Chamber was filled with tension as leaders from 3 species faced the worst crisis in Coalition history. Supreme Chancellor Veximer of the Veltar slammed his fist on the crystal table. His blue skin had turned dark with anger. Around him, holographic displays showed burning Coalition bases and destroyed fleets. How did we let this happen? He shouted. Humans were supposed to be extinct as a military force. General Thaxon of the Keth clicked his shell plates nervously. His 6 arms moved in patterns that showed the hive mind was deeply troubled. The hive calculates that we underestimated human capabilities, Thaxon said. Their alliance with other species has created unexpected tactical advantages. Our databases cannot predict their combined strategies. Ancient Keeper Lumara of the Zephyrians pulsed with dim light. Her crystal body had grown darker over the past months as bad news kept arriving. Perhaps, she said in her wind-like voice, we should have treated the humans better from the beginning. Veximer turned his black eyes toward her. Do not speak of weakness, Keeper. We did what was necessary for galactic order. And now that order is collapsing, Lumara replied. She was right. Across the galaxy, Coalition control was breaking down. The human recordings about Kepler Station had spread to every world. Species that had served the Coalition for centuries were asking dangerous questions. On the mining world of Kappa 7, the rock-eating tunnel folk had stopped sending minerals to Coalition worlds. Their leaders said they would not serve masters who betrayed their allies. The bird-like sky dancers of the Outer Rim had declared their systems neutral. They refused to let Coalition ships land on their worlds. Even worse, some Coalition member species were starting to rebel openly. The plant-like bloom singers had grown thorny barriers around their cities. The energy beings called the Spark Folk had simply disappeared from their home dimension. "We need to end this quickly," Veximer said, "before more species turn against us." General Thakeson brought up a tactical display. It showed coalition fleets gathering from across the galaxy. "The hive mind has developed a new strategy," he said. "We will send our largest fleet to attack the human base at Titan's Edge. When we destroy their leadership, the rebellion will collapse." Titan's Edge was an old shipyard in the outer galaxy. Coalition intelligence believed it was where Sarah Chun commanded the Free Fleet. They were partly right. Sarah did use the base, but she was much smarter than they knew. 2 weeks later, the largest coalition fleet in history jumped into the Titan's Edge system. 500 warships appeared in space like a metal storm. Admiral Krickstall commanded the fleet from his massive flagship. "All ships, prepare for battle," Krickstall ordered. "We will crush these rebels once and for all." But when the coalition sensors swept the system, they found something unexpected. The shipyard was empty, no human ships, no defensive stations. Just abandoned metal floating in space. "Sir," reported the sensor officer, "there is a transmission coming from the shipyard." On the main screen, Sarah Chun's scarred face appeared. She was not at Titan's Edge. The transmission was recorded and sent from somewhere else. "Admiral Krickstall," Sarah said with a cold smile, "thank you for bringing your entire fleet to one place. It makes our job much easier." Krickstall felt ice in his stomach. "It's a trap. All ships, prepare to jump away immediately." But before the coalition fleet could escape, space around them filled with ships. Not just human ships, but vessels from dozens of species. Shardfolk crystal ships that had been invisible to sensors. Depth Singer submarines that emerged from hidden water pockets and asteroids. Star Rider fighters that moved faster than light itself. And leading them all were human ships built from stolen coalition technology. Ships that knew every weakness of coalition defenses. "You taught us everything we know about warfare," Sarah's recorded voice continued. "Every tactic, every strategy, every secret. Now we use that knowledge against you." The battle was unlike anything seen in galactic history. The Free Fleet did not fight like a normal military. Instead of big formations, they used small groups that worked together perfectly. Humans coordinated attacks while Shardfolk ships struck from impossible angles. Depth Singers jammed coalition communications while Star Riders hit supply ships. But the most important part of the battle was not the fighting. Hidden throughout the Free Fleet were broadcasting ships. As the battle raged, they sent signals to every coalition world in the galaxy. These signals carried the complete truth about coalition crimes. Not just the betrayal at Kepler Station, but centuries of abuse. Records of species enslaved, worlds stripped bare, and civilizations destroyed. All the secrets the coalition had hidden were revealed at once. Admiral Krickstall watched his fleet break apart around him. Coalition ships were exploding or surrendering. His own flagship was surrounded by enemies. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving surrender offers from 17 coalition worlds. Their governments are overthrowing coalition rule." Krickstall could not believe it. The rebellion was spreading faster than he could follow. On the screen, planets were declaring independence. Space stations were switching sides. Even some coalition military units were joining the rebels. "How is this possible?" he asked. The answer came from an unexpected source. On his own bridge, several Veltar officers turned their weapons toward him. "Because," said his own second-in-command, "we are tired of serving a system that uses people as tools." Across coalition space, the same scene played out on thousands of ships and stations. Officers who had served loyally for years suddenly realized they could be next. If the coalition could betray humans after 50 years of service, they could betray anyone. The coalition military began to collapse from within. Ships refused orders. Bases declared neutrality. Entire fleets simply stopped fighting and went home. On Concordia, Supreme Chancellor Veximer watched his empire fall apart in real time. Reports flooded in from every corner of coalition space. The tunnel folk have seized our mining operations on Kappa 7. The Sky Dancers are attacking our bases in the Outer Rim. Our own Veltar colonies are demanding new leadership. The Keth hive mind is splitting into separate groups. Zephyrian crystal cities are going dark. General Fakeson Shell had turned pale gray. The hive mind cannot process this level of chaos, he said. Multiple personalities are forming. We are losing central control. Ancient Keeper Lumara's crystal body flickered like a dying star. This is what happens when trust is broken, she said. Once people learn you will betray them, they never feel safe again. Vexomer stood up from his chair. His hands shook with rage and fear. Send word to all coalition forces, he ordered. Full retreat to home systems? We will rebuild and try again. But even his own guards looked at him with suspicious eyes. How long before the coalition betrayed the Veltar themselves? In the ruins of the battle at Titan's Edge, Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of her flagship. Around her, the Free Fleet celebrated their victory. But Sarah did not smile. She knew the hardest part was still coming. Marcus Webb approached her. The coalition is broken, he said. Their empire is falling apart. We won. No, Sarah replied. We destroyed their power, but we have not yet built something better. Winning the war is only the first step. On the main screen, messages poured in from across the galaxy. Hundreds of species were asking to join the Free Fleet. They wanted protection from the chaos as coalition rule collapsed. Commander, said Dr. Park, what do we tell them? Do we become the new rulers of the galaxy? Sarah looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were looking for hope. They wanted someone to keep them safe. They wanted someone to bring order back to the galaxy. The easy answer would be to say yes. Humans had proven they could fight better than anyone. They could rule the galaxy if they wanted, but Sarah remembered why they had started fighting in the first place. The coalition had ruled through fear and betrayal. If humans did the same thing, they would become just another empire that would eventually fall. Send this message to all Free Fleet allies, Sarah said. The war is not over yet. But when it ends, we will not become the new coalition. We will become something the galaxy has never seen before. What is that? Marcus asked. Sarah's scarred face showed the first real smile anyone had seen from her in years. We will become the guardians who make sure this never happens again. 2 years had passed since the great battle at Titan's Edge. The coalition was gone, broken into pieces across the galaxy. Some species had gone back to their homeworlds and closed their borders. Others had formed new alliances with their neighbors. Many of the smaller species had gained freedom for the first time in centuries. But freedom came with a price. Without coalition control, some parts of the galaxy had fallen into chaos. Pirates attacked trade ships. Old enemies started new wars. Some worlds faced starvation without coalition supply lines. Sarah Shun stood in the observation deck of her new ship, the Remembrance. Through the large windows, she could see the planet Haven below. Haven had been a coalition prison world where different species were kept as slaves. Now it was a free world where those same species worked together to build something new. The door behind her opened. Marcus Webb entered, looking tired. He now had gray in his hair and lines around his eyes. Leading a rebellion was easier than building peace. The Keth want our help, Marcus said. Their hive mind has split into 12 different groups. They are fighting each other for control of their home systems. Sarah nodded but did not turn around. And the Veltar? 3 different Veltar groups all claim to be the rightful government, Marcus replied. They want us to choose which one to support. The Zephyrians? Still hiding in their crystal cities. They say they are too old and wise to get involved in young species problems. Sarah finally turned to face Marcus. Her scars had faded over the years, but her eyes still held the hardness of someone who had seen too much. They all want us to solve their problems for them, she said. They want us to be the new coalition. Marcus sat down in a chair. Maybe we should be. We proved we can fight better than anyone. We could bring order back to the galaxy. Could we? Sarah asked. How long before we start making the same mistakes the coalition made? How long before we decide that some species are more important than others? It was a question that had troubled Sarah for months. The Free Fleet had grown enormous. Hundreds of species had joined them. Millions of ships followed human commanders. Entire sectors of the galaxy looked to humans for protection and guidance. The power was intoxicating. Human admirals commanded fleets larger than anything the Coalition had ever built. Human colonies were growing on the best worlds in the galaxy. Human technology was spreading everywhere. Some humans liked this new power. They said humans deserved to rule after everything they had suffered. They said humans were better at leadership than the species that had betrayed them. Sarah understood why they felt this way. But she also remembered the lessons of history. Every empire thought it was different. Every ruler believed they were better than those who came before. But power always corrupted in the end. "Commander," Dr. Park's voice came through the ship's communication system. "The assembly is ready." To begin, Sarah and Marcus walked to the main conference room. Inside, representatives from 200 species waited. Some sat in chairs, others floated in tanks of water, and a few hung from the ceiling. All of them looked to Sarah for answers. The assembly met every month to discuss problems across the galaxy. It was supposed to be democratic, with every species having an equal vote. But everyone knew that humans had the strongest military. In the end, what humans decided usually became the final answer. A Shard Folk representative spoke first. Its crystal body flashed with different colors as it talked. "The pirate raids in the Outer Rim are getting worse," it said. "Our merchant ships need protection. We request human warships to patrol our trade routes." A depth singer in a water tank sang its agreement. "Our ocean worlds also need protection. Only human ships have the weapons to stop the raiders." More voices joined in. Species after species asked for human help. Human ships, human weapons, human soldiers. Always humans. Sarah listened to it all. She understood their needs. The galaxy was dangerous without strong protection. But she also saw what was happening. Slowly, carefully, the Free Fleet was becoming exactly what the Coalition had been. An old Star Rider chief spread his metal wings and spoke in his whistling voice. "Perhaps," he said, "it is time for humans to take formal control. You have proven you can keep us safe. We would accept human leadership." Murmurs of agreement filled the room. Many species nodded or made sounds of approval. They wanted someone strong to take charge and solve their problems. Sarah stood up. The room became quiet. Everyone waited to hear what she would say. "No," Sarah said simply. The word hung in the air like a thunderclap. Representatives looked at each other in confusion. Marcus stared at Sarah in surprise. "No?" asked the Shard Folk representative. "But we need leadership. We need protection." Sarah walked to the center of the room where everyone could see her clearly. "You are asking us to become your new masters," she said. "You want us to make decisions for you. You want us to fight your battles for you. You want us to take responsibility for your problems." She turned slowly, looking at each representative. But that is exactly what the Coalition did. They told everyone they would provide protection and order. They said they would solve all problems. And slowly, they made every other species dependent on them. A young Veltar delegate stood up. "But humans are different. You would not betray us like the Coalition did." Sarah smiled sadly. "Every ruler says that. Every empire believes they are special, but power changes people. If we become your protectors, we will start making decisions for you. If we make decisions for you, we will stop asking your opinions. If we stop asking your opinions, you will become our servants." The room was silent. Many representatives looked uncomfortable. They had come here hoping humans would solve their problems. Instead, Sarah was telling them they had to solve problems themselves. Dr. Park spoke from the back of the room. "Then what do you suggest, Commander? The galaxy needs some kind of order." Sarah nodded. "Yes, it does. But not the kind of order where one species rules all others. We need a new kind of order." She walked to a large display screen and turned it on. It showed a map of the galaxy divided into different colored regions. This is what I propose, Sarah said. We divide the galaxy into regions. Each region governs itself. Humans will not rule any region except our own. But what about protection? Asked the Depth Singer. What about pirates and wars? We will still help, Sarah replied, but as partners, not as rulers. When pirates attack trade ships, we will send fleets to help fight them. But we will not decide which ships can trade, or where they can go. Sarah pointed to different parts of the map. When species have conflicts, we will help them talk to each other, but we will not decide who is right or wrong. When worlds need resources, we will help them trade, but we will not control the trade. A tunnel folk representative scratched its rocky head. You're talking about being guardians, not rulers. Exactly, Sarah said. Guardians watch for danger. They help when asked, but they do not make decisions for those they protect. Marcus stood up. That is a much harder job than being rulers. Rulers just give orders. Guardians have to earn trust every day. Yes, Sarah agreed. It is harder. It is also the only way to make sure this never happens again. She turned back to the assembly. The coalition fell because they forgot that power comes from the people, not from weapons. They started believing they had the right to rule because they were strong. We will not make that mistake. Sarah walked to the window and looked out at the stars. We will patrol the borders between regions. We will keep our fleets ready to help anyone who asks. We will remember the history of what happens when species try to control each other. And most importantly, we will remember why we started fighting in the first place. Why was that? Asked the Star Rider Chief. Sarah turned back to face the assembly. Her voice was quiet but clear. Because someone betrayed their allies. Because someone decided that some people were worth less than others. Because someone forgot that trust, once broken, can never be completely fixed. The assembly voted that day to accept Sarah's plan. Not everyone was happy about it. Some species had hoped humans would solve all their problems. Some humans had hoped to rule a new empire, but Sarah knew they had made the right choice. Years passed. The new system worked. Slowly and sometimes messily. There were still conflicts and problems, but no single species controlled the galaxy. No one could betray entire civilizations the way the coalition had betrayed humanity. Sarah grew old commanding the Guardian fleet. She never retired, never stepped down. Until her dying day, she kept watch over the galaxy, making sure the lessons of Kepler Station were never forgotten. On her final day, Sarah stood again in the observation deck of the Remembrance. Around her, young officers from dozens of species worked together. They had grown up in a galaxy where cooperation was normal and betrayal was remembered as ancient history. Marcus, now an old man himself, joined her at the window. Do you think it will last? He asked. Sarah smiled. For the first time in decades, it was a warm smile without sadness. Nothing lasts forever, she said. But we have built something that can protect itself. We have taught the galaxy the most important lesson of all. What lesson is that? Sarah looked out at the stars one last time. That the strong exist to protect the weak, not to rule them. And that some betrayals echo through history until someone is strong enough to make